Well, greetings and salutations, imagination connoisseurs. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show right here on the interwebs, the John Campea Show, coming to you right here on the John Campea YouTube channel. I am your host today, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I'm here in not my studio, I'm my studio, not the studio, not a studio, with Jonathan Voico, who's in a different location.
Completely different location, live from beautiful downtown Burbank. It's me, Jonathan.
Jonathan, how you doing this weekend? It's been a while since we've talked.
It has been a minute.
Our fearless leader, John Campea himself, has been traveling the highways and byways of the land. He has been making his way back from Orlando, Florida, where we have heard the movie Meet was an absolutely epic event. The pictures speak to that.
It was a triumph, a success, as they say.
It was, yes, triumphant.
Yeah.
And it really is great to see how many people turned out for his entire sojourn. So thanks to all you loyal viewers, and I'm glad you had so much fun there. I did not have fun because I didn't go. Hopefully the next time. But John is in Vegas, almost back. Apparently they had dinner or lunch with the Jonas brother.
Oh, wow.
Very excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
they went to So you know how Ann likes those Jonas brothers. So John, they'll be making their way back, and John will be back in the studio tomorrow. So that's where we're at. But today we're coming off of a big news-filled weekend, Jonathan, aren't we?
We are. And we're going to talk about a few things that have come out, a few things that are coming out, starting off with Marty Supreme. That's going to be a big Christmas movie coming up. So one of the things I'm probably looking forward to seeing on Christmas Day, I usually will go see a movie on Christmas Day.
Me too.
I think I saw like Iron Claw one year as a feel-good Christmas movie of the year. And I can't remember what I saw last year. But anyway, it's probably on the top of my list for Christmas Day movies. But, Rob, today, the embargo is lifted for critic reviews. And it is holding with 47. I'm going to refresh this just to be the most accurate. 48, and it's still holding 96%. So,
wow.
So far, so good, right? I mean,
well, I got to tell you, this, after seeing the trailer, this became my second most eagerly awaited movie after, of course, the Mordor Na'vi coming back into town. I can't wait to see Marty Supreme. It's, the Safdie brothers this year, they were directing together. They worked together on things like Uncut Gems. They broke apart, and I hope, everything's okay in the Safdie bros family. But one of them directed The Smashing Machine, and the other directed Marty Supreme. And this movie, obviously, it stars Timothée Chalamet, and it looks incredible. The trailer blew me away. The supporting actors blow me away. The look of the film, it's vintage. It has an incredible look to it. I can't wait to see this movie. We've only heard great things, and a 96%.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you happen to have the reviews on your end? We can go through some of these on Rotten Tomatoes.
I do not have the reviews on mine yet. I can pull them out, but you've got them up already.
I got them here. Let me see if I can
lay them on us.
Yeah, let me see if I can just push in a little bit here for the folks at home. Yeah,
there you go.
All right. So we got Joe Blow's movie networks. These are going to be mostly fresh, as it's 96%. But he says the movie of the year, an incredible film, does for ping pong what Over the Top does for arm wrestling. And that's a good thing.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
We got Culture Mix. Marty Supreme is about an ambitious and arrogant ping pong player. I did catch the arrogance from the trailer. The movie grabs a hold of viewers and never lets go, like a mixed martial artist in a race against time. There we go, a little UFC reference there. Timothée Chalamet gives a superb performance in this tension-filled comedy drama. Film obsession. We have to find a way to root for an asshole. Worse, depending on your own contempt or adoration for the debate of formality of table tennis versus ping pong. We have to root for an asshole playing that predominantly inconsequential sport. But he gave it a positive, so I think he's saying, like, we have to root for this person. I think that's just what the story does to you. Let's see. Inverse. A manic madcap odyssey that is exhilarating as it is exhausting. Marty Supreme is operating on a level of ballsy absurdity and no other movie this year can dream of touching. It's interesting. Let's see who else we have. Phantom Wire. It's wildly fun and entertaining, yet it doesn't shy away from delving into deeper themes and questions. However, you look at it, Marty Supreme is something special. Dan Merle, as Marty Supreme recklessly veered around its twists and turns. I didn't know if it would end in triumph or disaster, but it was I was glued to the screen to find out. And I will say, and I'll read a couple more because there's a negative and I want to get that, but just from that previous trailer, the second one, it does feel a bit madcap, doesn't it? I mean, it's touching on things that the first trailer did not.
Well, if you look at Uncut Gems, that was one madcap film. I mean, in terms of its editorial style, I mean, talk about propulsive. It was quite the experience. It was like watching a Bourne movie, but about a Bourne movie character study, Paul Greengrass editorial style. But I really was impressed by Uncut Gems. And this, I can understand it might not be for everybody because it is, like you said, I think the word madcap probably fits pretty well.
Johnny Tyler, the madcap.
I mean, it excites me to have, I'm all about authorship, and it excites me to see that the Safdie brothers, they have a cinematic style that nobody else has. And they're bringing it to the forefront now. We've got 2 movies this year. I mean, The Smashing Machine was a little less, it was more subdued. But I think that this is sort of a Safdie brothers signature. And I think, people are talking about how like this year has not been a great year for movies. But I think
movies, not a great year for the box office.
That's right. And I think there's been a lot of artistically one battle after another, which I did finally see. I thought was terrific. And you've got people like Paul Thomas Anderson and the Safdie brothers. These are people that are going to be replacing people like Martin Scorsese. These are the new masters. These are people that are continuing to do great, very unique work. And they're keeping the art of cinema vibrant. And that second trailer for this is, I looked at that and I'm like, that to me was my catnip to see a film that, that moves away from, I haven't seen Hamnet yet, but I want to see that. But everyone says, it's a total bummer. And I really liked Anemone, which is a movie that I could recommend to maybe 4 people, but I loved it. And I've been having a great time at the picture shows of late. And this is the first day of December. We got a lot of great stuff coming out. I don't care. I'm an unapologetic Avatar lover. You haters can suck it. I'm going to have a good time in 3 weeks. And this is going to give me a better time, I think. And I don't have to feel as guilty for loving the Avatar movies as much as I do.
Yeah, we have a lot of good stuff still ahead before this year ends. So I agree. I mean, I unfortunately, there's been a lot of smaller films that I've wanted to get out and see, and I've just had no time.
And I loved Bergonia. I thought Bergonia was great as well.
I'm gonna have to catch that on streaming, and I hate saying that. Like, I want to support theaters, and I prefer seeing movies in theaters. It's not like I'm just doing it because I want to be charitable. I prefer the experience at a theater, but I just don't always have the time.
I thought Bergonia was a movie that needed an ad campaign that didn't portray it as some kind of art house chore to sit through, because I thought it was wild, and I was wildly entertained. And between Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone, the performances were terrific, and Yorgos Lanthimos remaking Save the Green Planet. I mean, who would have ever thought that movie, which is a remake of a Korean film from the early 2000s, I was blown away by it. I really thought it was terrific. So we're getting a lot of great stuff, and Marty Supreme looks like the cherry on the cinematic sundae that is 2025. Some people might not agree with me, but hey, we started out with movies like Companion in January, which I thought was a banger. We get into movies like, who would have thought Weapons would be Weapons? Who would have thought a new horror hero would be named Gladys? I didn't. So I think 2025 has some real joys to be had.
Yep. And a few more to come. So
and we got Brian Fuller's Dust Bunny coming out, which I'm going to see today at USC at a special event where he's going to speak.
Nice. So you got a bit of a drive ahead of you.
I do.
All right. Well, listen, guys, what do you guys think about the reviews for Marty Supreme holding 96% so far, and it's going up to nearly 50 reviews? So that's almost all of them out of 50. It's pretty good so far. Are you guys going to catch this Christmas weekend? I probably will. We'll just see how things happen and work out. But look, T. Shammy's back again, and I think it's going to be another Oscar contender for next year. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Excuse me. Next up, we're going to go from the cinema to something come out in Netflix. We just got a new trailer today for Diddy, The Reckoning. Rob, did you get a chance to check out this 4-part docuseries? Now, it's only like a minute and 6 seconds. It's just a teaser.
Yeah.
But did you get to catch this teaser, and what did you think?
I did. Now, the crazy thing about this 4-part documentary series is it's 50 Cent is the producer. He made it. And if you have ever seen him speak, he is no fan of Diddy's. And apparently this is a searing documentary. There's incredible footage, supposedly. And he's going to rip the roof off Sean Combs' entire career, such as it is, and what brought him and what put him in jail. Now, I have to tell you, I was, for a long time, Sean Combs started producing records when he was 14 years old. And he was kind of a hero of mine, kind of a self-made man. And that was before I knew much about his business practices and his personal life. But in a way, I saw this trailer and it kind of just made me feel sad, to be honest. But I this again is like catnip for me. I can't wait to tune in and watch all the salacious details, which makes me feel bad about myself, to be honest. But I think the corruption of fame and fortune, and seeing what it does to people has always been fascinating to me. And how do you balance out? I think, it's almost biblical in the sense that when a person is corrupted by wealth and power, to see how they wield that power is always fascinating from a storytelling perspective. It's disappointing from a human perspective, but I'm certain that it's going to make for interesting viewing. Just like, Netflix put out the Charlie Sheen documentary,
right?
The 2-part Charlie Sheen documentary that I actually thought was really quite excellent, to be honest, and really sort of fair-minded profile of what went on and what happened. And kudos to Charlie Sheen for doing that. And I'm hoping that this could be just as good as that documentary was.
Yeah,
so,
I'm curious.
Sad, but fascinating.
And Netflix always does so great on their docuseries, and true crime. I kind of wonder how it's 4 parts. So I'm wondering if I hope that the first episode is just like a quick, like, this was his rise to power, because we don't need the whole history of Puff Daddy over here. But I figure it's going to be the quick rise to power, probably end episode 1 with, and then things got weird, or things started like making a weird turn, like things started coming out, and then episode 2 and 3 are probably more about the I would say like the accounts of what was going on. So the rising action into like, then episode 3, probably the trial. And then I would say probably the verdict in episode 4 to the aftermath, I would guess.
And also I really I've always been fascinated by the hip hop scene. I have right behind me Ed Pisker's Hip Hop Family album, and I've always been, since the beginning of hip hop in the 70s with like Kool Herc and all of that. And Diddy represented, Sean Combs produced people like Biggie Smalls. So it's going to be interesting to see how that first.
It's a crazy history.
Yeah, and coming from 50 Cent, I'm hoping that he really delves in honestly into what hip hop was and how it evolved throughout the 90s and into the 2000s. So I'm looking forward to all of that, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? You going to check this out on Netflix? 4-part docu-series Diddy, The Reckoning. The trailer has dropped, like we said. You can go check it out. It's only about a minute and 6 seconds. I got to admit, I'm kind of a sucker for true crime and also biographical docu-series. This is something really relevant for our times, so let us know what you think in the comments, if you're going to check it out or not, if this is a skip. All right, moving on. It's a little more Netflix here, Rob. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I wonder, has anything happened on Netflix in the last week that's worth talking about?
I don't know. A little something came out. Stranger Things season 5 debuted.
Right.
Yeah, over the weekend. I think that was probably the big thing over Thanksgiving weekend for a lot of people. So look, we're going to talk about Stranger Things, the first 4 episodes. as you can see on the lower third there, it is going to be spoiler filled. It came out last week, basically. So I'm going to put up the spoilers right here. Bing. As long as you see this up here in the upper, I guess, left corner. We're talking about spoilers for Stranger Things. So, getting right into it, Rob, what were your thoughts on the season so far?
I have many thoughts. First of all, I want to get something out of the way. A lot of people, I've watched a lot of commentary when people talk about how the kids just look too old. I don't have a problem with that. In my mind, that's how they grew. They matured faster than most. So it does not bother me that 10 years have passed since this show has started. They've got the whole cast, the fact they've kept the cast back together. That to me, I can suspend my disbelief. I don't have a problem with that at all. However, what I do, they really do drop you into the action. I mean, it's almost 2 years since call it the dimensional rip that happened in Hawkins. I mean, and I have to say, I found everything that's gone on compelling. I like all the characters, and I like what they're doing with the characters, even though they're adding a younger group, sort of a Goonies contingent. Everything that's happening is interesting, and it's holding my interest. The one thing that I do have, my biggest criticism, and this is an in-universe, in-story criticism, is that if something like this actually happened, I'm always thinking that, okay, if you expect me to believe, you need to earn my suspension of disbelief. And I've been able to go along with Stranger Things up until this point, whether we're going to Russia, whether they're building a Russian base underneath a shopping mall, I've gone ahead. I'm like, okay, now the most significant thing in what would be human history has happened. This dimensional doorway has opened. There's a huge military presence. An American town has been entirely cordoned off. And yet, I just don't believe that what's going on with them. You have Sarah Connor, you have Linda Hamilton coming back, playing this lead character, sort of taking over the Matthew Modine role. And yet, they've actually built a base inside the Upside Down.
Right.
And yet, there's like 6 people that work there. Like there would be new genomes. There's creatures down there we've never seen.
It's a huge I will say on the outside and the inside, it's a big military presence. But as far as the scientists, I saw like one guy on a computer who gets knocked out.
Yeah, and then you would have a virtual team of biologists from around the globe.
Well, that's what
I mean. I know they're trying to keep
when they had that bunker last season, and Matthew Modine's team was there. That was a big huge bunker with a lot of scientists.
Yeah, and
now it feels like there's like 3 people on the job.
Yes, and look, you can't keep this a secret. And I know it seems strange, but I feel like the Upside Down has been it has been underdeveloped. Like, how far does it go? Is there a version of Earth stuck in 1983 that and if so, wouldn't every biotech company that exists be down there doing research? I mean, you see Linda Hamilton doing research on things that don't exist on Earth. And clearly there's the Mind Flayer that we've seen and Vecna. Are they one and the same? If there's truly an H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu-like god that exists there along with Vecna, this would be the greatest threat to Earth ever. And I know this is a weird nitpicky thing, but I guess because I'm a veteran of reading hundreds of horror novels and watching every horror movie known to man all the way back to the beginning of the 1900s, that I wanted to see them for the 5th season amp up the threat and amp up. And also, one person can take on a Demogorgon with a broken wine bottle, and then the military haven't figured out how to be armed with flamethrowers everywhere they go. And then we watch this Aliens-esque attack at the end of episode 4, and everybody gets wiped out. I mean, come on.
Well, it seems like what's happening is the people on the inside and the Upside Down, the military there, they know what's there. Clearly, that facility on our side of, they're not this is like need to know apparently, because they didn't even know that demigorgons were a thing. Remember when they were coming for the kids in episode 4? They're like, you don't know, you're not prepared to stop what's coming. So they didn't know. These aren't the same people that are going into the Upside Down.
You would have, this would have been the most guarded place on Earth. And it just seems like, well, apparently after the however long 4 years that take place in within the show, that nobody's learned anything. And the military presence, it would have been a Manhattan Project X-esque type of a deal. I know that's a little wacky to say, and maybe it's not fair. It's not a fair criticism, but you need to you can't tell me when these kids are all superheroes now and they're the ones that can save the world. It strains credulity for me, but I'm still watching, and there's no doubt no expense has been spared, and the effects and the portrayal of the Upside Down, I really do think whatever's going on with Vecna and the kids and all that, they've added some really interesting wrinkles to the mythology,
for sure,
which I'm enjoying. Like, where's all that going to go? But I do think that there's the power level of the Demogorgons changes from scene to scene, and that becomes relatively frustrating.
Well, I guess, but also, I mean, if you think about it, the Demogorgon wasn't defeated by a wine bottle. She was cutting it. But
right.
He still took out both parents and took its target, right?
It's true.
And they lived because it was inconsequential to the Demogorgon. And even when they were trapping it, I mean, it got hit with a lot of stuff and kept going. No, so it wasn't just a scene where they were being shot. I get that, like, she was holding him off with a wine bottle, but it didn't work for long. And it does seem a little bit like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where you had a huge military outpost holding back everyone from Devil's Tower. Really a large, because they said it was like a nuclear reactor or nuclear. What was it? Radiation was exposed. It was a train accident or something in Close Encounters. I can't recall.
It was a disease. It was
That's what it was. Okay, it was a disease, not nuclear. But then when you get to the actual facility, it's not that many people that are getting ready to communicate with the aliens. You know what I mean? So I feel like if we're gonna accept it there,
but this is obviously a threat.
Well, a violent threat,
a theological threat. It's a violent.
I also
threat.
feel like, how do you hide a whole rift into another dimension from the public? I get there's no drones yet or anything, but like,
and the Russians know about it too.
Yeah. So this is the first 4 episodes, and maybe they're going to touch on that in the next 3 or something like that. In terms of the cast and everything, one thing I will say about the editors and the creators, the directors, is that they know how to pace this thing really well. I love that it's a big group of kids and adults, and yet we can fracture into separate locations, usually at the same time, and yet follow everything that's going on. And they'll further fracture those down to 2 people each sometimes, or 1 person by themselves, and then 3 over here and this over there and that. The way that they're able to, I don't know, it's pacing, but it's also keeping time with everybody is pretty daunting and pretty incredible. So I've really appreciated that they've kept my attention for each little subgroup as they fracture more or rejoin and then fracture. It's been kind of incredible how they've done that.
No, that I totally agree. I mean, I really do like where my criticism is a bit nitpicky, obviously, but the rest of it has been very compelling, and I've really
what you're bringing up. Yeah, what you're bringing up is the stuff where you have to set aside reality a little bit, right?
Yeah. And also, when you have one of the kids they're still in the midst of being subject to this military cordon. The fact that high school kids are still beefing with one another seems a little like life would be so different that everybody would kind of be in the same boat. And I also wanted to see more of how does the town and the rest of the world feel about all of this?
Well, it seems like those acolytes, those jocks, are really they're the cause of all of this. They caused this rift. Yeah, because I don't think the information is really out there.
No, it's not.
I think they've been lied to.
Months.
Yeah. So that's a little I kind of thought when we were rejoining this story that, okay, everyone's up to speed. But it seems like they put out false information to everybody, even the people in the town, where even the people in the town that know there's something wrong, they think, oh, this Hellfire kid, this occult, like, did this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will say though that ultimately it's very entertaining, and that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah.
I mean, no expense has been spared. It's a lush show to look at. It's really well made, and it is, after all, it's not supposed to be The English Patient.
Well, and what I do like about it, what they're keeping up with is it's the blatant inspiration of 80s film. I mean, Back to the Future is heavily like influenced this season, you know?
Oh, totally. And
Back to the Future. And I don't mean there's like the time travel, but there's just elements that are like, this is Back to the Future.
Well, there's always been time travel in this. You know, they talked about the Upside Down being stuck in 1983.
Yes.
And there's the whole wrinkle in time element. And then you saw the professor that they brought back showing you wormholes. There's definitely going to be a time travel element in this series. I mean, they've been dropping hints like mad.
And let's face it, Will Byers is Harry Potter. He's a Horcrux.
Right.
He's absolutely a Horcrux. It was Harry Potter, I'd say. And then I brought up Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So there's just, I mean, I know Harry Potter isn't 80s, but in terms of the story,
it might as well have been.
Yeah.
You know, would have fit right in, slotted right in.
I don't know what happened to our spoilers there, but I'm sure everyone knows we're talking spoilers. But anyway, one other little follow-up to this. We're going to get the next 3 episodes Christmas Day, I think, right? Is it December 25th?
Yeah. Yep.
But the season finale, while you can get it on Netflix on, I think, January 1st, starting December 31st through Jan 1st, for about 36 hours, they're going to be launching the Stranger Things finale in theaters. So I'm trying to actually get my tickets. It's only at Regal and Cinemark. And the tickets are there. Like you can pick tickets, but it's giving me an error to purchase. I don't know if anyone else is having this issue. I looked on Reddit. Other people are having the issue on their end. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm planning on seeing the finale on the big screen. I don't know.
Me too.
What about you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I want it to be very, very successful.
Yeah.
So they do.
So I mean, again, they're only running it for the one day, basically. Jan 31st, I think, starts at 5 p.m. through December 31st through Jan 1st in the evening. About 36-hour window. You know, if you can get your tickets, grab them. But I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that.
I do. I think it's really. I mean, you know what? It makes it more fun. It makes it an event, and I think that's what you want for something like this. You want to get excited. I like that they're trying to amp up excitement by doing. And look, this show is definitely worthy of seeing on the big screen.
Yeah. I am wondering now where the next 3 episodes go, because Will Byers does have the Harry Potter connection to Voldemort. I mean, Vecna. So what happens now? Because that seems pretty all powerful if he can control Vecna's like minions.
Yeah.
He literally just saved everybody.
Right.
So,
but
and now we've got,
there's going to be a great cost that comes with that.
Yeah, probably. Oh, I wonder if Vecna goes if he goes. I'm wondering, do we say goodbye to Will?
We're going to say goodbye to some people, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like David Harbour's character has a bit of a death wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's looking for it. If it's not a Demogorgon doing it, it's him strapping himself with dynamite. So we'll see if he goes. But anyway, any final thoughts on Stranger Things season 5 before we move on?
No, I mean, ultimately, yay or nay, I'd say definitely thumbs up. It's a really entertaining time. I mean, look, it's not like Stranger Things has ever been high art.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's a throwback to a time. It's been fun. It's a throwback to a time that I lived through already.
Uh-huh.
And I certainly, it was very formative for me. I mean, I went from being a young whippersnapper to being a young man to being an actual adult. So it encompassed, for me, it was junior high, or AKA middle school now, but I went junior high all the way through college and into young adulthood. And I spent my formative years all through the 80s, all the way to being able to, a couple of years into my 20s. So it was a big time for me, and to see this kind of an homage to what it was like to see the movies. They've certainly, or the TV shows, they've certainly succeeded in tapping into that 80s nostalgia in a way I don't think anything ever has. So
Not really.
kudos
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
Kudos to them.
I would say I'm a bit behind you, Rob. So I was probably in second or third grade when the events of this season are taking place. But, that was still like, I would have been one of the young siblings, the annoying young sibling that those kids didn't want to have to, you know what I mean? Playing with his Transformers or He-Man or something like that.
Totally. But you would have been a cool young sibling.
Yeah, I actually would have even been younger than like this Derek kid that everybody hates, because I think he's probably supposed to be like in 5th grade or something. But anyway, what do you guys think? Final thoughts?
He's the chunk. He's the chunk of the show.
It's weird how he went from absolutely like sociopathic awful to like, oh, he's kind of reasonable. So kind of odd how you could switch that. But anyway, what do you guys think so far of Stranger Things season 5, episodes 1 through 4? Let us know in the comments. Looking forward to, I guess, sheesh, I'm gonna have like Christmas Day for like Marty Supreme and Stranger Things episodes. What is it, 5, 6, and 7?
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. Let us know what you guys think. All right, moving on. We're gonna do a little game here, Rob, of verses. Earlier, I put out a request for some scenarios, and of course, our wonderful viewers gave us some here. So we're gonna start with the first one, as you typically do. Start with the beginning, and when you get to the end, stop. Will Lambert says, okay, Daniel Craig as Bond versus Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc.
Oh, dude. As a lifelong James Bond fan, I can honestly say I like Craig as Benoit Blanc way more than I liked him as Bond. And I loved Daniel Craig as Bond in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Loved him. And I liked him as he was playing that same Bond in Quantum of Solace, because that, even though a lot of people don't love Quantum of Solace, I understand its problems, but I'm a quantum apologist.
Okay.
And everyone can talk about Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die all they want, but James Bond was this morose sad sack in all 3 of those movies. In Skyfall, he failed from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, and then he was this lovelorn, sad puppy. And he wasn't having a good time. And as a result, I, as a viewer, a lover of the Bond franchise since I was a little kid, was not having a good time.
Yeah.
And while Skyfall is a beautifully made movie, it's basically it's a riff on The Dark Knight. And it also bothers me because Bond fails. He fails throughout. And James Bond as a fantasy character, as you know what, I stopped wanting to be Bond in those movies. And I wanted to be James Bond. Like being James Bond. Yes, every day could be the last day of his life, but he's a man that has great appetites. He loves fine women. He loves fine wine. He loves fine beluga caviar. He knows the proper temperature to serve a bottle of Bollinger at. This guy is having a good time. He can tell you what dangerous tropical fish are in that aquarium, and they turned him into a sad sack, morose, sensitive. I don't know what was going on, but that guy was not the James Bond I grew up with. But Benoit Blanc, that dude is having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
When he comes on the screen, I have not seen Wake Up Dead Man yet. I want to get out to the theater and see it this week. But Benoit Blanc is enjoying himself. And as a result, I, as a viewer, am enjoying his antics and the way he solves these crimes. Everyone is saying how good this movie is.
He seems, when we're talking about just the actor, he seems to relish this. In this character, it's a juicy character. He loves it, man. He loves it. And I think he loves that accent.
He loves the accent. I loved him in Logan Lucky.
I love Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky was great, but seeing him in it,
yeah,
that was crazy. And he was having a great time then.
Now that was a different Southern accent, but still, he nailed it.
He nailed it. I just love seeing. I love Daniel Craig as a performer. And I love seeing him in these. I can't wait to see him in Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah, I think, we had Timothy Dalton, who a lot of people say was ahead of his time because he was more of the darker, more realistic Bond.
But he was the sensitive guy too, and he could still kick ass.
He still enjoyed it, and he still won at the end of the day. Now, I know in one of them he was just fighting a televangelist, but still.
Well, and Robert Davi is a great drug dealer.
Yeah.
And Benicio del Toro is his young henchman.
Yeah, and I'm not. I know I just led with that, so it seems like I'm saying I didn't like him as Bond. I actually loved him as Bond, and I did like. I love Casino Royale, of course, and I did love. Why am I drawing a blank? You just said
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
Everyone loves
I
Skyfall.
still love it because it's just, it's a mood. But at the same time, the whole time I'm thinking like, it's not him as the actor not enjoying it, but the character is not. He's just like conflicted the whole time, and you want him to find himself, and it's just like, man.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Like at the beginning, he gets shot off a train, but he should be like, that happens in the line of duty, and he like runs away and he's hanging out on a beach playing drinking games with scorpions.
He wanted out.
That's what he's. And it takes MI6 to get attacked and blown up for him to come back in from the cold.
You had what was it? Die? No, not Die Another Day. What was the one where he, Sean Connery? They think he's dead.
Diamonds Are Forever.
Not Diamonds Are Forever. There's the volcano.
Oh, you only live twice.
You only live twice. So there's elements of that. But anyway, I think we both agree, Benoit Blanc. So let's move on to the next one here. The multiverse is broken, says Avatar: Fire and Ash versus Avengers: Doomsday at the box office.
Phew, that's tough. Look, I'm going to go with the safe bet and go Avatar. The thing about Doomsday is we've talked about the fact that the Avengers movies, the first two Avengers movies and the first Avengers movie made $1.5 billion, but you were taking in these beloved characters that over the course of movies had already earned your love and trust. All of that goodwill has gone from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a Spider-Man movie to bring some of that back. But we don't even know if Spider-Man's in Avengers Doomsday. And unless they have some kind of a direct connection, who knows? And Avengers Doomsday is built on a gimmick. It's built on the idea of Robert Downey Jr., aka maybe Tony Stark, coming back and being Dr. Doom. So they're betting on a gimmick, whereas all of the Avengers movies up to this point have earned our love. Especially Infinity War and Endgame put together the two. It's Infinity War and Endgame are some of the finest examples of fantasy filmmaking ever. Even if you took the superheroes out of it and just it was characters that led up to that storyline with Thanos snapping. It was great. It's like the Godfather 1 and 2 of fantasy filmmaking.
Sure.
Avatar, you're coming off of two movies that have both delivered above $2 billion.
Mm-hmm. The world is there.
It's there. So and everybody is saying, I've heard early word. By the way, I'm not saying this is true or not, but I might be seeing the movie this week. Ooh. And I will be able to tell you whether your goddess has no dominion here. I can't wait to see this movie. I want my Mordor Na'vi to kick some ass. I don't know what's going on, but I can't wait. Don't bet against Jimmy C.
You don't do it. I'm going to go Avatar as well. I think globally it just translates better, especially right now. I think I've said that we could end up seeing Doomsday more of a box office closer to Age of Ultron.
Yeah, but by the way,
which is still amazing.
I do want Avengers Doomsday to be great.
I want it to make $3 billion.
Choice. I'm excited. I want Doomsday to kick ass. It has the potential because the Russo brothers have not let us down. They have not let us down in the MCU. But I keep thinking about the Gray Man and I think about Electric State. Well, and I'm like, boys, spent a lot of money. I know, but I have to think about that. I hope Kevin Feige and the Russos come back and kick my ass because I want them to. I want Doomsday to be the return of the king of their Avengers movies. It's their third Avengers movie. You know, if I don't get Mordor Na'vi, maybe I'll get Mordor Doomsday. So it'll be great. Can't wait. Bring it on.
All right. So far, we are together on both of those. These are third verses from PG. Stranger Things, we just talked about, versus Game of Thrones. Which show had the bigger impact on pop culture?
Oh, I think Game of Thrones did. 100%.
Do you?
Yeah, because Game of Thrones had a much wider reach than Stranger Things does. And I'll tell you something else. Stranger Things is ultimately a pop confection. You know, it is truly entertaining, whereas Game of Thrones riveted. There's a lot more of it, first of all, even though I am with a lot of people that I think only half of season 8 completely goes the conclusion doesn't it
just races along. It's like and this and this and this and this and then this and this.
Yeah. And there's so many problems that I had with it, but still Game of Thrones kept us riveted for 10 years. And I think Game of Thrones, come on, you know nothing, Jon Snow. People still say that.
Yeah.
And I think that Game of Thrones had a much wider cultural impact across multiple generations, whereas Stranger Things
and formats, because it was the readership first.
Yes.
And
yes.
also the show spurned more reading. So
yes. Whereas, Stranger Things is by definition an exercise in nostalgia, and it's working. I don't think it has as much to say as Game of Thrones.
I think while all of that I agree with you, I do wonder about when you, in terms of reach and viewership, because it's a much broader spectrum of people that are watching Stranger Things than Game of Thrones. So I wonder in terms of pop culture if it could actually be Stranger Things, only because of its reach. Not everyone has HBO or HBO Max,
Right, that's true.
And
also,
a lot of people didn't. As far as like Game of Thrones, there's a lot of people out there that haven't seen it compared to Stranger Things. So while I do think, I guess if you're thinking in terms of like zeitgeist and phrases like, nothing Jon Snow, or I drink and know things, and I guess that's just like little things like that, but also like the Red Wedding and all, and then people doing watch-alongs on YouTube. I guess Game of Thrones takes that. And then in terms of like broad appeal, it probably is I lean towards Stranger Things. Man, I don't know who to choose on this. I guess you chose Game of Thrones.
Also, there's a whole generation that grew up. I mean, Stranger Things was something that appealed. Like you can never take away from the fact that when you have strong foundational entertainment, Harry Potter, and then I would say that in a way, Stranger Things was a successor to Harry Potter in terms of the audience, because Stranger Things appeals to a wide, younger audience.
A younger audience is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Potter did. Yeah. So I think the audience that's experiencing Stranger Things now, they've grown up with Stranger Things.
They have, yeah. And new generations are into it.
And Game of Thrones definitely appealed to an older audience. I don't think you have 10-year-olds. I mean, I would have loved Stranger Things when I was 10. But I don't think a lot of today's 10-year-olds were really interested in the political machinations of Westeros, but they certainly are interested in what's going on in Hawkins. Hawkins.
All right. Well, I guess I didn't give my answer. I guess culturally, I'd go Game of Thrones. If we're just talking about mass appeal, because you have an age range that's like is cut off for Game of Thrones, I'm gonna go Stranger Things. All right. Next
Good
up.
question though.
Yep. Joshua says, all right, Lord of the Rings versus Harry Potter. Which franchise is more likely to return to its former glory, popularity?
Wow, these are good.
Because of the show and then the Hunt for Gollum.
You know what? I've got to say Harry Potter, because the Lord of the Rings trilogy, in a way, is pure. And anything beyond that is just milking something for economic sake. As good as I hope Hunt for Gollum can be, whereas Harry Potter, what you're doing is you're going back to the original material and you're retelling it in an expanded way. So you're not, I mean, look, it's always to make money. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of Hunt for Gollum, they're scraping the bottom of that barrel to find new ways to exploit Tolkien's work. Whereas Harry Potter, the series is just, they're going to go back to they're going to retell the original stories, but they're going to expand them and use all of what was in the books,
right?
And give you a more fleshed out story. But they're not trying to make a movie about some secondary character from Harry Potter and blow it up into a big feature film and have to shoehorn a bunch of elements in there. And I feel that in a way, if this makes any sense, the Harry Potter series has more purity than Hunt for Gollum.
Well, look, I agree with you. Here's what it is. When you think about the audience, dude, the audience is already geared up and waiting for Harry Potter. They're getting their robes and their wands. The merchandising is going to start heating up soon. They're going to go to Universal, to Hogwarts and whatever. I don't know they're the same. I think the excitement is going to be matched to like the Hobbit movies for this Lord of the Rings film.
Yeah, and
we haven't
also
seen the trailer yet, So when the trailer comes out, people may be like, "Oh, this is just like, Return of the King or something." Not Return of, it probably won't be like that, but like maybe Fellowship of the Ring. Um,
But
but I'm just saying, man, I think people are just already geared up and waiting for this Harry Potter series.
well, especially if you look at the casting, which has
Yeah.
been sublime, but also if you think about the heart of Lord of the Rings is the relationship between Sam and Frodo, and then their compatriots Merry and Pippin. So you have two best friends and their best friends that are on this journey together at the core of what Lord of the Rings is.
Yeah.
And then as they put together this fellowship, you're invested in these characters who are trying to prevent the end of the world.
Right.
Well, the hunt for Gollum is like, we already know what happens.
It's the precursor to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's once again, it's a prequel that we already know the outcome. So whatever the movie can be as great as it can be, but it's never going to have the stakes or the emotional wallop that the Lord of the Rings movies had, no matter how good it's going to be. And that's why I think sometimes, I mean, I understand the impetus for wanting to do it because we want to make money, but I would say has Rings of Power generated the kind of audience that justified spending $450 million to get the rights? Did War of the Rohirrim burn up the box office?
Nope.
No. And they never will, because they're never telling the kind of story with the kind of characters that Lord of the Rings did. You can never, and that's why I think sometimes, some things are better left alone. Whereas the Harry Potter series has the potential to flesh out the original works and still tell that story in a much more expanded way that can, I think, really resonate. It really has an opportunity to be something terrific, like a Game of Thrones is.
Yeah. I could see in like maybe even 10, but probably more like 15 or more, the Lord of the Rings being redone again, the trilogy. Because
I don't know, man, that'd be tough.
I think you could do it. I think they will do it. I mean, 30 years, I mean, we're talking about like, it'll be almost 2040. Oh, wait, 15 years from now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you're talking about 40 years ago. That means like if something came out in the 70s, you're doing it, in the aughts, or something came out in the 60s, the early 60s, and then it's doing like near the end of the 90s or something. Like, put things into perspective time-wise.
But I think, though, that the thing about the Lord of the Rings movies is it's shocking to think the Fellowship of the Ring came out 24 years ago this month. However, those films, because they're like period pieces, and the culture, even though our cultures move forward almost a quarter century, everybody still watches those movies and they don't feel like they're dated. For the gaming culture and where culture is now, we have 25 years of people that have grown up with the Lord of the Rings movies. They've never fallen out of favor. They've never left relevance, and people still watch them all the time. So it's almost as if those films came out yesterday.
Now, but 15 years from now, Gen Z is like Gen A is our youngest generation right now. We're talking 15 years from now.
But I still think they're going to watch these movies the way that
there's going to be Gen A who may be 21 and have kids of their own. I mean,
but unlike Back to the Future, which is clearly like a perfect film, but it's set in the 80s, because it's Lord of the Rings and it's set in Middle Earth thousands of years ago. Even if you're watching it, even if you're watching it today, it doesn't even matter when those movies came out, because their characters are so universal.
Right.
I don't see that there's any real need. I mean, if they had fallen out of favor and somebody said, it's the same reason why the original Wizard of Oz hasn't been remade, and I think that I don't know if anybody would attempt. Maybe, I mean, somebody would say it would be a daunting task, because there's 1,000, there's 100,000, there's probably 1 million different decisions that would all have to be correct, in order to make a Lord of the Rings trilogy again that turned out as well as the first one did.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just positing, a possibility of, could this happen? All right, moving on. We got, which one was that? That was this one. Okay, so I think we both agree Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Josh says Psycho versus The Shining. A little bit of a horror.
Ooh, that's a tough one. What? I would assume that you were talking about the movies
Yes.
and not like the
Not the
original
novel.
source
Yeah.
material, because that's something you would have to look. I would have to say this. I would go The Shining today, tomorrow, and every day,
Mhm.
because Psycho, when Psycho came out in what, 1960, it was terrifying. But the idea of a Norman Bates-like character has been done over and over and over and over again in various iterations. Whereas Jack Nicholson in The Shining, like even when they went back and made their Doctor Sleep is a sequel to
Yeah.
The Shining, and Ready Player One
Mhm.
goes in and visits Kubrick's
Right.
version of The Shining.
Yeah.
So the thing about Kubrick's version of The Shining, again, it's, even though it is set in the late or 1980 or whatever, it still works.
Mhm.
You know, you still watch a father, his wife, his son, Scatman Crothers
I mean,
as
it's just
Halloran.
that movie just it sticks with you.
It's timeless. And you know what? Anytime anybody watches that movie, like Lord of the Rings, it still it still smashes you in the face, you know, and I don't think that it's lost any of its power, whereas some people just won't even watch black and white movies.
I think they both stay with me. I think that Psycho is incredible. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
The thing about The Shining is like you can feel the air inside the Overlook. Like it just stays with you. It's
and what's yeah.
you know?
And you know what's another thing that's great about the Shining?
Mhm.
If you think about it, most of the movie takes place in very lit up environments.
Yeah.
The inside of the Overlook, it's either daylight when crazy shit's happening, or you have these very lit up
Hallways and whatever.
hotel lobby, and it's not until the end that you get into darkness. How many horror films get away with so many scare scenes in broad daylight or in bright light?
It's almost like the fact that you're seeing those things in pure light. There's no hiding from it. It's
Right.
Just, as a young, I don't remember how old I was when I saw it, or at least like some of it before I actually watched the whole thing. Dude, it freaked me out.
Dude, it freaks you out from the opening credits.
I didn't understand what was going on in this. Yes, it does, because of that
The
weird
music
wailing.
and then the way the credits are sliding up the screen.
Bum, 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 bum.
The original Christopher Nolan. Brown.
It that sound, it was similar to what do you call it? Ludovico, Clockwork Orange. That kind of synthy thing.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you know, I didn't understand like what the people in the furries were doing.
Well, that's
but
the
it's
whole
still
thing.
but it doesn't matter. Even if you don't understand that because you're innocent, you're a kid, just seeing two adults staring at you like in a costume like that in a well-lit room, you feel like you're being like accosted in some way. Like,
yeah, you're seeing things you're not supposed to see.
Yeah.
And look, when you're a kid, especially, like if you watch that movie when you're like 8 or 9, come and play with us, Danny.
Oh yeah.
It's nightmare inducing.
Yep. So I think we both go with Shining on that one. Next up, we're gonna go with Jorge Luis. Apple TV. Now, keep in mind, Apple TV versus HBO Max, but this is only the last 5 years. So we can't bring in Sopranos, The Wire, Boardwalk Empire.
That's hard, dude.
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean,
that's why I chose this one, because I almost don't know if I have an, even in the
these
5
are
years.
all really
if you
good.
said Lifetime, it's HBO, but in the last 5 years, I don't know.
I mean, last 5 years, the True Detectives, even that kind of went down. I gotta go. I mean, Apple TV's got things. It has Severance. It has Silo. It has For All Mankind. It has Ted Lasso. It has, now it's got Pluribus. I mean, I would say this. For me personally,
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Apple Plus because I've watched more things on Apple Plus religiously than I have on HBO.
Because when I go back, when I think about it, it's the stuff that's beyond 5 years. I mean, we had Last of Us.
I mean, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, though. And that's within 5 years, right? So
yeah.
So because we're going back to 2020, if we're going to 5 years. But if I'm thinking just track record, like Apple TV has been incredible for it. In the last 5 years, the track record it's had.
And the excitement level that it's got me with the shows.
We often say like HBO is like Paramount, like I don't mean the studio, but it's like Pinnacle. and that the closest thing to it is Apple TV and what they're trying to do. But I would say, okay, but then look at the track record. Like, these are the new kids on the block, and I'm going to go Apple.
Right. I'm going to go
And
Apple too.
And that is not an easy decision, by the way.
No.
I'm just kind of going Apple and going all in, but that's a great question.
Great question.
All right. Moving on. What are we? 6? That was a 6. Last one here. Lucas, Man of Tomorrow versus Reeves Batman 2. Critic and audience scores.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna look up the
I think
Batman
if
here.
you were to take the Batman and James Gunn's Superman, I think the Batman is a better movie overall, because I think it was much more focused. I think Matt Reeves was setting out to do something that he succeeded wildly at doing. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are going to talk about Twilight Boy not being Batman, and it's not the Nolan Batman, and it's not Zack Snyder's Batman, but I'm a crime thriller guy. And to see them leaning in, I mean, it is Batman year 2 essentially.
Right. Well,
and
year 3 or year 2? Can't remember.
Year 2. He's like, or it'd be year 3 because he's been the Batman for like 2 years in the movie.
Yeah, he's a 2 years of nights.
Yeah, so he's young. You know, we're seeing the beginnings of Batman's career. It's the Casino Royale of Batman, to bring it back to the first question.
Yeah.
But I thought it was much more satisfying in terms of being cohesive. Where James Gunn's Superman, to me, I still feel, having watched it now, owning it on 4K, I still feel, as much as I enjoy that movie, it's all over the place. You know, it does not have a lot of focus. I think too much time might be given to the secondary characters. It's not enough. I'll tell you what Superman is not enough of for me: a character study into Superman. Like, Superman doesn't really have. He's Superman the whole time. There's no questioning. You're not taking Superman on any kind of a journey that we don't already know he's going to go on.
Other than the reveal with his parents.
Right, but even that.
But then he's like, no, but this is who I am.
Yeah, and the problem with the reveal of his parents is it immediately throws anybody that knows the mythology into sort of a place like, wait a minute, is that true? Right. Like, I still don't know if it's going to be. And
I mean, Gunn came out saying it was true, but I think initially we all thought, oh, this is just Lex Luthor, like.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was and that could be true. I mean, they've never really the fact that Kryptonians are essentially supposed to be, if you think about it, it makes sense that Kryptonians are conquerors to lesser planets, but and Superman's parents could just be that way. You know, they're trying to save their folks, but they're folks trying to save their kid, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily benevolent in the way we want them to be. Yeah. So it was interesting, but even that was kind of thrown in there. It wasn't like it was developed from it. It felt like it came out of left field and by design. Yeah. But I think that the Batman was just, again, the cohesion of it felt more, it felt more fulfilling from a viewing standpoint. So I'm going to go with the critic ratings, and also the Batman made more money than Superman did. So I'm going to say that the Batman 2 takes it in both categories.
Okay. I was looking it up, and the Batman has 85-87 critic versus audience, and then the Superman was 83-90. So they're not far off, but I'm going to go the Batman 2 gets better critic rating. I'm going to get Man of Tomorrow gets better audience rating.
I can't disagree with you there, because
I don't think one of them will dominate them both. So
I think, though, that the one thing that Man of Tomorrow seems to have is more focus. The thing about Superman is that had to introduce an entire universe.
Yeah.
Whereas Man of Tomorrow can spend time on dealing with Lex Luthor and Superman teaming up to fight the threat of Brainiac. That to me sounds like a much more fulfilling Superman story.
Right.
So maybe I'll go with the split version.
Split decision.
Split decision.
All right, cool. Well, that's it for Versus, guys. Thank you for your submissions. We're going to move on now to our final topic, which is, let me get rid of this and this, the weekend box office. Stranger Things wasn't the only thing blowing up over the weekend. Apparently, and this was not on my bingo card, but Zootopia 2, I figured it would dominate the box office, especially because Wicked for Good was in its second weekend. I was not expecting these global numbers. Rob, when we look at this over here from
Insane global numbers.
Variety, Zootopia 2 feasts on $156 million. This is great for a second week. I mean, most films would be happy for $93 million opening weekend, and Wicked for Good got 93 in its second. A bit of a downturn, which we'll talk about in this article later. But, dude, globally, I had to refresh Box Office Mojo because I'm like, wait, you're telling me that Zootopia 2 made over half a billion dollars on its opening weekend?
And it was monstrously huge in China.
Yeah. The article brings out, I'll just read through this. Hollywood is giving thanks for Zootopia 2. You're not kidding, after the third quarter. And Wicked for Good, 2 Thanksgiving offerings that kept movie theaters stuffed over the holiday weekend. The animated sequel Zootopia 2 towered over the domestic box office with a $158 million from 4,000 venues, and including $98 million over the traditional weekend. Monday's final tally was above Sunday's estimate of 156 over the 5-day and 96 over the weekend. Those ticket sales rank as the second best Thanksgiving launch of all time. That's behind Moana 2 of last year, which was 225. And it beat Frozen 2, another Disney sequel, which generated 125 over the 5 days. The original Zootopia made 75 in its initial, and it became a huge hit. And earned over $1 billion worldwide. We're halfway there right now with the opening weekend. But it says here Zootopia 2 was even bigger for us at the international box office. Rob, as you were saying, $272 million in China alone.
That's insane.
It earned $559, almost $560 million globally, with just and yeah, you could say Wednesday, Thursday, but just the traditional 3-day, it made $500 million. It's the 4th biggest opening in history, which I believe that puts it behind Endgame, what do you call it? Infinity War, and Spider-Man No Way Home, if that's true. And then it goes on to say down here, this is kind of interesting. We can talk about this in a little bit, but Wicked for Good, although it dazzled with 93 million on its release, it actually is a bit of a drop from it, the original movie's second weekend, which I think it says earned 118 over a 5-day holiday last year. So I think that Wicked for Good is going to be fine. Obviously, I think it's definitely going to match Wicked. I still have it at about 800 million. Let me just look up real quick on Wicked. Yeah, so Wicked, that's Wicked for Good. Let me look up Wicked real quick here on its global total. It was 758. So I've got Wicked for Good about 800.
Yeah, I mean
820-ish.
Which is a great. I mean, that's great. To maintain that kind of the both movies to get a little bit more money. I mean, that makes it a $1.5 billion franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's an incredible response.
Yeah,
for these films.
Thoughts on the lead here, Zootopia 2 over $500 million.
Look, I just want to go on record as saying I always thought Zootopia was going to hit $1 billion.
Yeah,
I did say it on this show more than once, and I know John would say no. He didn't think that was a guarantee. I was like, there's no way. When I was this film, I haven't seen it yet, but I love the look of this movie. I've loved the characters of this movie, and clearly I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it didn't get our money, and it didn't hurt it from getting over $500 million.
No, and I could look at this and be like, I mean, look at the color palette alone of this. There's something very inviting about this franchise. And I didn't see the first Zootopia in the theater. I bought it.
Okay.
And I was like, I love this movie.
Yeah.
So I will definitely roll out and go see it this week. But it doesn't surprise me. And look, they launched it at the perfect time for Thanksgiving weekend. And I think there's not a lot. I think both of these movies are going to play through the rest of the year. And
sure.
I think they're going to do quite well.
I mean, Zootopia is going to be in theaters probably into January.
Yeah, and people are going to go see it again, I would imagine. Yeah. And again, this is a franchise. How can you not? This is also an animated film that plays with both kids and adults.
Sure.
So it's
a lot like Pixar, though I know this isn't Pixar, but it kind of touches on those themes where
yes,
both are going to enjoy themselves in the movie. Yeah, although the the reviews haven't been as not terrible, but just not as good. Like most people are saying Zootopia 2 is great, but it's not as good as Zootopia 1, which is common for a sequel typically.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to stop the audiences. They're still coming. And I think
Yeah.
this is, I mean, if you're looking at just the doldrums that the box office was in, I think that between Wicked for Good last week and this obviously is a huge ramp up leading into the rest of this year. I don't think that Marty Supreme is going to be a huge, movie just because of
No.
its, but it'll do well on its own. But
It'll be
Avatar,
interesting.
this is a huge ramp up going into Avatar. Theaters are going to be collecting on Zootopia still at the same time as Avatar. And there's going to be families who didn't get to go on Thanksgiving weekend and are going to catch Zootopia 2 on Christmas weekend.
Yeah.
So,
And of course, I think Avatar is. Look, as we've often talked about, the Avatar movies have never opened huge.
yeah.
They've started slow, but they play long because people want to go visit, Pandora. And if it's true, the movie is as good. I mean, Disney is screening it all this week.
Yeah.
So they are not shy about showing this movie. And that is a really great sign. So if I see it, I'll find out. I'm supposed to see it Friday, and I can't wait. Unfortunately, they're not going to show the Doomsday trailer in front of it then, but I'm still going to go see it, and I can't wait. I can't wait.
What do you think in terms of weekend 2 for Zootopia? I mean, we're going to see a downturn. Obviously, you're gonna, but did most people just see it this weekend? So are we looking at like 70% drop?
Well, it opened.
It
It had a 5-day. You had a 5-day that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
So I think that the drop is going to be substantial.
Do you think it's going to be like 70? Or do you think it'd be less than that, 60?
I think it'll be domestically. I could see it before. Let's just call it a 45% drop. So
that's
yes,
legs.
That's legs. It's still legs. It's still legs. But I'm going to say 45% because it did open across 5 days for a holiday weekend. I think the box office, I don't know if they're only counting was 156 or something.
156 was the full, the 96 was the proper.
Oh, 96. Days. Yeah. So, okay. If 96 was for 3 days, I could see it doing, let's call it 65.
Okay.
Because that's still a big.
Yeah. So whatever it gains over this week between the weekend and then next week, and then you're looking at the weekend of like half drop. So that's like 75, and let's say it picks up another 50 over the week. I mean, this thing is pushing to $1 billion within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or at least 4 by the end of the month.
It could be. It's just kids are back in school, so but they they still can go.
Yeah. Don't stay in school. Go see Zootopia 2, kids.
That's right, kids.
Yeah.
You too can Zootopia it up.
So what do we think this means? Because I had brought this up before where the theaters were really suffering in the third quarter, and it's so easy to say, oh, theaters are dead, but then we see numbers like this. We see Wicked. We see Avatar is going to be huge. We see a lot of excitement for next year. That's a year from now, but a lot of stuff in between. I mean, do we think that we're trending up with theater going? Or do we think it's going to...
I look, the theater business, that you have to provide populist spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the theaters are at. Unfortunately, all of these Oscar bait films, even a movie like Hamnet. Look, as much as I want to see Chloe Zhao's Hamnet, and I think it's going to be great. Who's going to go see it? You're trying to get you've got to give movies that are going to be 4-quadrant experiences to theaters because, people, I think Begonia is a really great movie that I think a lot of people would actually quite enjoy, but they tried to sell it like some art house movie. They should have sold it as a populist film. And I like the trailers and everything, and the beautiful movie poster, when you look at the art, it's like, what is this?
Right.
Whereas it's a romp. They should have said, they should have leaned into this woman runs corporate America and these people are going to punish her for it, or something like that.
Yeah, 17 million right now domestic, but it is 34 worldwide.
Yeah, but that I think Begonia should have been. It could have been a zeitgeist movie that people could have watched because not only does it have a lot to say about our current times, it also has a great twist, and so I think that it deserved to win more money to get more money at the box office. The
Yeah.
performances are great. Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone are so good in it. But those kinds of movies just aren't doing well. They're not connecting to the wider audience because I don't think people, unless they're horror, they're not going.
And it just seems like more and more examples of the cast did not pull the audience, because I know it was open like to only 1,300 some theaters, but even Eternity, I mean, look at that cast.
I've heard Eternity is great too.
5 million right now. I mean, it's not a wide opening yet, so that number is going to get bigger, but still, the good thing is these movies have smaller budgets, but I do think Eternity probably has a larger budget because the sets are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And location shoots and stuff like that. But something like Begonia, that's a lower budget, so making 34 million on that isn't too shabby. I mean, it's going to make more. We talked about this before. I think there's a resetting of the box office. I think it's just unsustainable to think that we're going to have like $17 billion films every year. That's just not going to happen. That happened at a certain period. We're in a reset. But I think if studios can continue to put out movies that are mid-budget to low budget, make profit on those, you're not losing money on that, then that just adds to your coffers, and then you get the tent poles that blow things up. It'll be a successful thing, but I don't think that translates to theaters are dead. I just think it's a resetting. And I think theaters have to do now their part too to coming to theaters more, But
also theaters also proved, the studios also proved that you can make a lot of money for mid-budget horror.
Yes, you can.
Warner Brothers proved it. I mean, with Weapons, Sinners, Final Destination, and the Conjuring, Last Rites, those 4 movies alone made over $1 billion for the studio. And I think Conjuring was the most expensive at $55 million.
I mean,
that's a business model that the studios have to get behind.
Now, it kind of reminds me of the critical favorability of like horror from the 70s, of that kind of arc, right?
Yeah, putting out like The Omen and The Exorcist, and they weren't making
money. Even take out inflation, whatever, they weren't drawing audiences like today's horror is. Even still, but you're having that critical acclaim with the money now. So interesting times, and we talk about. When I was younger and kind of understanding like the history of cinema and everything, it was so easy for people to boo-hoo the 80s because it was like a sellout decade. It wasn't the new Hollywood of the 70s.
Quentin Tarantino will tell you the 80s is one of the worst decades ever for film, and
it was schlock, or it was just trying to get the big tent pole. Well, that's the era we're in,
right?
And horror is kind of reaching back to the era of the 70s critically with their films, and I think that's the era we're in for most movies, and tent poles are what's drawing audiences. But I don't know if that's such a bad thing, because I love the movies of the 80s, and you could boo-hoo it critically, but I don't care. I enjoyed it, and it carried over into the 90s. Look at Jurassic Park, and
Look, I mean, what Greta Gerwig did with Barbie, you can poo-poo Barbie all you want. You can't take away from its success. And if you look at that movie, that film had no right to work as well as it did.
Mm-hmm.
And it did because you had filmmakers that were able to take a ridiculous tentpole idea that shouldn't have worked, but they did. They made it work. So, yeah, I think that that's the kind of thing you got to be doing. You got to look at Barbie. You look at Oppenheimer. I mean, Christopher Nolan's C-Note is his own genre.
Sure.
So but that kind of thing, it's those things that you've got to be thinking about. I mean, Christopher Nolan's an outlier, but Barbie is not. That was not somebody that was Greta Gerwig they were taking a shot on her as a creator on a crazy idea about making a Barbie movie that worked. It's that kind of creative thinking that we need to see at the studio level that can bring in those kinds of successes. But right now, horror filmmakers, mid-budget level, I mean, Weapons cost $38 million.
Yeah.
And look what you got. You got a zeitgeist film that made a lot of money.
Yep.
And that was because you had one guy, Zach Kreger, and you had a producer in Roy Lee who had the vision to find Zach Kreger and give him a shot to make Barbarian. And the studio went, oh, okay, that's how you build a career now. You make a $4.5 million horror film. You have a producer like Roy Lee who knows what's up. He says, you know what? I'm going to take a chance because nobody else wanted to make Barbarian, but he can muster up a budget under $5 million, goes and makes it, becomes a hit. Then the next movie goes to Warner Brothers. Now Zach Kreger's doing Resident Evil. they got to be thinking this way. But the problem is there's nobody working at studios that have the vision that Roy Lee does.
Well, Roy Lee's working there, but I understand it's the minority there.
But he's independent. Roy Lee this year, he had How to Train Your Dragon. He had the Minecraft movie, but he also had Companion. He also had Until Dawn, but he had Weapons and The Long Walk too. Yep. All one guy in one movie at multiple studios.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, The Long Walk was great and deserved a bigger viewership, but
it'll find it. But that movie only cost $20 million.
Yeah. It was just fairly simple to shoot in a sense. I'm not not that
they
I'm
shot
not saying like there was
park in Alberta, I think, somewhere in Canada.
That movie was great. It was great.
Yeah.
And what they did with the budget was amazing. Listen, guys, that's the end of our main topics. What do you guys think about this huge box office for Zootopia 2? Have you seen it? Are you going to go see it? Have you seen Wicked for Good? What's going on? Let us know what you guys are seeing in theaters, elsewhere. What do you think about are theaters back? Are you gearing up now for Avatar and the Avengers Doomsday trailer that's going to precede it? I think that alone is just going to be pushing. I think Fire and Ash could probably be the second biggest Avatar movie, is my guess.
Could be.
But we'll see. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We're going to get right into your guys' questions. The most important part of this show. Rob and we're going to answer your
But I have
questions.
to go.
Do you?
Yeah, I can't stay.
How long? Let's see. How long do you got? Because we have.
I'm already 17 minutes late to go.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, because I gotta be at this event.
Oh, that's right. All right, Rob's got to go. So look, I'm gonna cut super chats off right here. But this is fine because what's great is that means that because John is going to be on the show. It's just he had some issues getting home on time, and didn't want to go and push it. Wanted to be safe on the road. So that means everybody who has put in a super chat today will not only have their answers, their questions answered by Rob and possibly myself, but also John tomorrow. We'll cover these and then anyone else who came through. And so don't worry, these will be answered tomorrow. We'll all be in studio tomorrow, so we'll see you guys then. So Rob, I don't want to hold you up anymore.
I must go. I apologize.
Say goodbye.
Everybody, I want to thank you all for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel the way you do. Thanks for being one of the great communities on the interwebs. And thanks for putting up with Jonathan and I today. And we'll be happy to have our fearless leader back after 2 weeks of gallivanting around the cosmos.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow on Tuesday. See you then.